Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
What is it about this podcast? I feel like everything goes back to masturbating.
You ever want to do New Year's again, mother? You're going to do an episode of Blossom.
I'd like to come up around her bend. Ding, 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 ding.
That's the one.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, because they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than this on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
This is the biggest episode we have ever done so far, Sal.
I 100% agree with you.
Have you done any research? Like, could you find any sort of backstory on why this episode happened?
No, I didn't really look into it. I just kind of took it for what it was, but I will say that just like how different and creative this episode was, it's like, okay, I can see with episodes like this, I can see why the show was so popular.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hate this episode, but I didn't love it.
Really?
It was just bizarre why they chose to do this.
I just put that out of my head and just went with it, man, and it was...
See, I couldn't do it. It was like...
It's a different experience.
The whole show was built on getting that one established star to appear in like a dream sequence. And here they have like 20 stars. They have access to 20 stars. And instead of scrambling to, get a season's worth out of these cameos, they go in the other direction and they give each of them like 30 seconds on one show. And I'm just fascinated to try to understand why they would break their established rhythm and do it this way.
I think it worked.
Could you imagine?
Man. I think it was great.
Crazy. Let's jump into it, man. Let's do it. I'm not disagreeing with you. I watched this episode probably 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And I revisited it today, and I still don't know how I feel about it.
Wow. I thought you were going to love this one.
Maybe I will by the time I'm done. I need to roll it around.
Okay, well, I'm doing the opposite because I didn't watch it 2 weeks ago, and I've seen the thumbnail in my coming up next or continue watching section on Disney Plus for weeks, and I just watched it today, so I'm coming in off of it fresh, so I'm still kind of riding the wave.
Still buzzing.
Yeah, man.
I am a blank canvas. By the time we're done in an hour or so, maybe this will be my favorite episode. I need to bounce thoughts off you before I really weigh in on this.
As we stated before, it's like our own book club, so.
Absolutely. Blossom, a rockumentary, Sal.
Season 2, Episode 9, and it first aired November 18th, 1991. From the title and the thumbnail alone, going in, you know this episode's going to be amazing.
What's your thumbnail?
It was just a black and white photo of Blossom looking in a mirror with a skeezy-looking Nick behind her.
And Jenna Von Oy's face kind of poking in the side if you look close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from that thumbnail, you kind of get the whole picture of what the episode's going to be, and I loved it.
Okay.
Going into it, I was like, this is going to be good.
Again, I have no feeling about this episode currently.
Amazing.
I'm just more confused. It's like a penguin walked into my room and started suddenly like trying to have a conversation with me and lit a cigarette. I don't know where to put this yet in my brain.
Fair enough. Well, let's do a deep dive and see where we end up.
What does the brain trust of Disney Plus have to say about this episode?
Straight to the point. Blossom dreams she's a famous rock star.
Done.
Yeah.
Call it a day and go home, Disney Plus.
That's it. Cash the check.
As Disney Plus writes this, each episode, you can tell they're just like, thank God we're going to be able to pull this show off our channel in like 2 years. There's no passion.
No, not at all.
No passion.
No. There's nothing based on that. But that was still enough. With that description and that thumbnail, that was still enough to pull me in. TV Database says, Blossom falls asleep watching In Bed with Madonna and dreams she's a famous singer.
She falls asleep watching In Bed with Madonna?
Yeah, I don't think that was brought up.
That's not at all what they're referencing. They're
No.
referencing Desperately Seeking Susan.
What's that?
Which I had to come to terms with because I didn't know. We'll get into it, but I didn't even know what the hell this was at first.
Okay. I thought it was like a Spinal Tap because they talk about Spinal Tap.
They do talk about Spinal Tap, and there's ties to Spinal Tap.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that's where they were going with it. But yeah, In Bed with Madonna, when I was watching the episode, they didn't even bring that up.
No, I think that's completely incorrect.
Yeah.
IMDb says, while sick in bed, Blossom dreams that she is a prima donna rock star.
All right.
7.1 out of 10.
Okay.
95 votes this time.
Wow.
That's over double
a lot of
anything
people
we've
watch
had
this
before.
one.
So this is a iconic episode for sure.
I would say so. We get a Tonight on Blossom at the very beginning.
Which is what I talked about in a few episodes ago.
Yes.
When they started doing the cold opening. I was like, they'd be better off having a Tonight on Blossom and then just showing some highlights instead of a phoned in, unconnected open. We got our wish, Sal.
Well, I feel like that's what this whole cold open was doing, because it was just quick cuts of some of the cameos and everything that you're kind of going to see in the next 22 minutes.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in there, and I think it sold the episode really well. That got me excited to watch the whole thing.
That's awesome. I was in a completely different headspace watching this. I couldn't turn it off and just enjoy it like you did. I was like, what?
Man,
what is
wow.
happening? How did this happen? Why did this happen?
I'm legitimately surprised right now, honestly. I thought you were going to come in raving about this episode.
If it was a different show maybe, but this is so, like, is this what Blossom fans want? If you were like seriously into the show as it was first airing, what do you think your thoughts would have been on this episode? Would you have been like, oh man, that's awesome, or like, what the hell are they doing?
Probably both.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Remember Friends did it, the one where they had like a what if episode?
Yeah, totally. And everybody was wearing a fat suit.
Yeah, TV shows do that every now and again.
They do, and maybe I just don't remember it happening back then as much. Maybe this was like a pioneer. We'll get into it. I have thoughts as we go along. First thing I wrote is, what is happening?
Accurate and fair.
So black and white, like Beatles-esque footage. Yeah. But then I wrote, I also kind of remember like Madonna doing something like this. Like this is even predates my awareness of pop culture.
Was it called In Bed with Madonna?
No, but I think it was called Desperately Seeking Susan. I think that was like a Madonna movie. It may have been black and white.
I thought that was a show with Brooke Shields.
Was it?
No, that was...
I don't know.
That was Suddenly Susan.
Oh. We are going to juggle a lot of pop culture tonight, Sal.
Oh my God. This episode literally throws up cameos in pop culture.
Right? So yeah, I kind of remember there was like a movie, and I think, I didn't look it up, but there was shots of like Madonna being chased by the paparazzi, and I kind of thought I was having like, vague flashbacks. I'm like, am I remembering this right? Was this a Madonna thing? But that would have been like 80s, I think.
Right.
Which is a weird thing for Blossom to reference off the top, because it would have been like over, and that happens a lot. Like they bring in David Cassidy later, and I was like, is he relevant?
Yeah, no. A lot of the cameos weren't great. I'll give it that.
I wrote, we see Nick, and he's got slicked black hair. He looks like he's going to try to kill Bruce Willis on Christmas Eve.
McLean.
Right?
He was kind of rocking Steven Seagal because he had like a little ponytail at the back.
The Russos and Six are running away from the paparazzi in the opening shot.
Yes. They're leaving the arena, I think, after a show.
Yeah.
And it's like her entourage. In the hallway is a bunch of reporters and stuff that they're dodging. And then they're like, all right, you ready? Let's go. And they open the door to the outside and there's just like a ton of fans.
Do you think these were legit people that came to see the show? Like, would they have hired extras if they already had a studio audience for that week?
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering, but I don't think that they had a studio audience.
Oh, yeah, I guess, right?
There wasn't a laugh track. It wasn't a 3-camera shoot.
Yeah, you're right.
It was just completely different to the format, which is why I liked it so much.
No, that's a good point. I was just thinking, imagine lucking out and this is the one taping of Blossom you managed to get tickets for to be in the studio audience. They're like, okay, we're gonna need you outside screaming and touching the actors as they walk by. Like, that would have been pretty awesome.
Right? The way that it was shot and the amount of scenes that there were, like, this episode must have taken them a long time to put together.
This is a very ambitious episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We mentioned an episode or two ago when they had the family photo shoot, and you could tell the actors, like not the characters, but the actors themselves were laughing at Buzz's hairpiece.
Yeah.
I got the same vibe here. They do that montage, and there's a quick shot of like Blossom and Six dancing, and it feels real.
Right.
It feels like that's just something they're doing in between shoots.
Yeah,
like
just
in
them like
shots.
goofing off. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Blossom pretends to shred a guitar solo after we see someone else shred a guitar solo. And I was like, is that the guy from Mr. Big? Remember? I'm the one who wants to. But see, all my early jokes probably are null and void because it turned out to actually be famous people.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this episode, I was like, is this just supposed to be a famous person?
Yeah, I didn't know. And even when that scene came up, I didn't know.
Yeah, I had to look everyone up.
Yeah.
And then there's a shot of Blossom and Six dressed pretty scantily clad with what would become Britney Spears headsets.
Right.
We see Dawn King. We see some other actress. We see Blossom in a chef's hat eating cereal on a ceiling. We see Tori Spelling from 90210, which would have been the biggest show in the world at this point.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Joey does some breakdancing, and again, this seems like the real Joey Lawrence making people laugh between takes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Dick Clark is there, some dude is there. Then, oh my god, I'm not proud of this. But I did it because if they were going to sneak something dirty into a shot, this would have been the one. But I paused it as we get a shot of a supermodel in a bikini getting out of the pool. And the shot is her from behind, and in front of her is Buzz lounging in a chair, drinking a fruity drink, just like leering at this woman get out of the pool.
I didn't catch that the first time, and that's kind of a spoiler, because that's really Buzz's only contribution.
And at this point are like 1991 trolling us. Where they're, you know... They've just gone off the rails with the Buzz character. They're just like, he's a pervert.
Yeah.
What else would he be doing?
We don't care anymore.
He's creeping on some young woman getting out. But then I was like, well, are they trying to spoof the Fast Times at Richmond High?
Oh, yeah.
Famous
the
scene?
Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, the girl getting out of the pool.
Probably
so does that mean he's about to masturbate? It's probably a good guess that Buzz is always about to masturbate, so it probably checks.
Well, it's a fair assumption.
Right? What is it about this podcast? I feel like everything goes back to masturbating. If it's not Joey, it's Pee-wee, or it's Buzz, right?
It's someone.
It's everyone except Adam Duritz.
Yeah.
He has never had to in his life. Up next, we see Neil Patrick Harris. He asks Blossom who all these people are, and in some of the worst acting ever, she's trying to be all matter of fact and says, these are, my people. But man, putting her next to Neil Patrick Harris was not a good idea, because just in that 20-second clip, you see the difference in acting ability between these two young up-and-comers. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris, we did not appreciate him on his
God, no.
ascension.
No.
And then he went away for a while, and then he reappeared in Undercover Brother, and he has owned Hollywood since. You told a story in the couple podcasts ago, too, about how her and Neil Patrick Harris were actually pretty tight.
Yeah, they had a
and
falling
he
out.
was so excited that he got a part in, what was it, Rent? And she came to see him in the musical, was it Rent?
Yeah, it was
and she
Rent.
was bored, and they actually caused some tension between the two of them.
Yeah, she hates musical theater and didn't want to stand up to applaud at the end.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah, right?
Bud for Married with Children.
Yeah, David
tells
Faustino.
the camera to get out of here. So he throws a temper tantrum and tells the camera crew to get out of here. Then we get the title page, pink letters against a black background like Bret the Hitman Hart. Blossom, a rockumentary. Sal, it's been 43 seconds and I've been writing for over 22 minutes. I never thought I'd say this, but I hope they don't play the regular intro for this episode.
I thought that they weren't going to, and I was kind of like, oh, they did. It kind of took you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, and I do not skip the intro. But then no credits.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I had something I was going to do with Roxy Wink Evans, and no, I got to save it for next week.
There's just too much going on.
Speaking of too much, there's too many. And I'm talking about Cooks with the flute and the white car driving by.
Sick segue, bro.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Self high five.
Bang! Blossom's in bed. She has a fever. Nick's taking her temperature. And then Blossom says, next year she's getting a flu shot. And then I wrote, Mayim wouldn't.
I wonder if they have any idea a couple of dudes would be watching these episodes 30 years later in a pandemic and pick up on that line.
Yeah, right? Nick rented her a bunch of movies. He lists them all off. One of them was Spinal Tap. I didn't really get what the other ones are. And then I just saw the...
Oh, Truth or Dare. Maybe that's the one with Madonna. Was it Madonna, Truth or Dare, maybe? I don't know what I was thinking. Spinal Tap, The Last Waltz, and Don't Look Back. Don't know those last two at all.
No. It brought back a lot of memories, seeing the old VHS in the clear video store box.
Just seeing those VHS tapes in the clear plastic cases, the sound of those.
Right.
That's all I want.
Exactly.
The sound.
Bring me back, man. Bring me back to Ambassador Video on a Friday night.
We've lost our way.
Oh, we so did.
Right?
Life is definitely more convenient now, but I mean, just the pure joy of going to the video store, renting the video.
You don't have to wait for anything anymore.
I know.
That's the downfall of society.
Right?
Because there's the best feeling in the world is anticipation, and no one can prove me wrong.
I'm a very impatient person, so...
There's no anticipation anymore. Dude,
No.
think back to like when you were a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, and?
Anticipation, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, to go in a completely different direction, Nick says he's going to make her some chicken soup. How does that sound? And does she say Jewish?
Or delish. I had to rewind it twice to find out. She says Jewish.
Yikes. All right.
Yeah, I know.
And suddenly, 18 of the 20 celebrities they brought in for this episode do not want to be part of it anymore.
Right? Actually, you know what? I took note, too, that the crowd laughed at that joke. So there was a live audience for one part of this show.
Yeah.
It's like one scene. All right, everybody, get the fuck out of here.
Could you imagine if it went the other way and that was the one you finally got in for and it was a one-take scene? They probably did it like 6 times. You gotta laugh louder when she says Jewish.
Nick pops in one of the tapes for Blossom and then leaves.
No. First he kisses her on the head, which is so gross. I love my kids, but when they're sick, I poke them with a stick from across the room.
We're in 2022, man. This is like...
Even before, I hate sickness. Like way before the pandemic.
Right. He pops the tape in, and Blossom is barely watching this. She just like instantly closes her eyes. It was like she didn't even watch it.
Just like the viewer seeing this for the first time in 1991. The camera zooms into Blossom, then goes out of focus, and I'm legitimately giddy for what is about to happen because I have no idea where this is going.
My notes get like very choppy from here on out because
That's fair.
so many things happen so quickly that it was kind of hard to...
I spent hours taking notes, so I got your back. I took more notes for this one than I have probably the last 3.
Amazing. Well, why don't you take the lead and
All right, man.
I'll chime in with what I've got.
Tag me in. They basically run an extended version of the intro. It's like a replayed version with some more shots.
Yeah.
And then they run outside into a limo.
Here I just wrote like how differently shot it was because there's like the shot from above of the limo.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, look how many extras there are. Like there's so many extras in this scene.
Dude, I've really noticed in music videos, back in the day anyways, how fake crowds are. If it's not them playing on an actual stage in an arena, like anytime they're outside and a crowd's going crazy for them and they're doing this where they're trying to get into a limo, it's always like whip pans. And when you slow it down, there's like 10 extras.
Yeah, I mean, that could be.
Or if there's people in a record store screaming for them, it's always like quick, crazy cut footage to try to hide the fact that they have literally 10 extras trying to do this scene. And I look at this Blossom moment here, and this is an expensive shot because they have like 100 people for this one scene.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
It wasn't smoke and mirrors. Like there was legitimately that many extras there.
I'm glad you picked up on that too. That would have been a complex, expensive shot.
That's why this episode was so impressive.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I seriously would just had no... I need to do this. I need to hammer out if this is a good episode or not, because I can't tell at this point. So far, I'm liking it. You're bringing me around. I mean, I was a dial tone coming into this. Blossom pops out the top of the limo and waves at her fans. Someone has a John 3:16 sign, and that's really funny. And there's another sign that I had to take a picture of on my phone, like with another phone.
Really? I didn't see that.
And it says... Bears kill Packers. So someone's having some football fun there, right?
Yes.
Blossom 316 says, I just whipped your ass.
With Bears kill Packers, it's like, did they get a crowd leaving a football game one day? We're like, oh, you guys have signs?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that's Roxy Wank Evans is probably like a huge Bears fan, and someone was like, you're in charge of this scene, and she's like, all right, I'm sticking it to you because you're a Packers fan. I'm not sure what Nick is going for, like the actor or whatever, with his voice. Like, I'm not sure what he's trying to do here.
Yeah,
he's just got a really weird voice. Maybe it made sense in 1991, like who he's parodying, but it's just off-putting. And he's kissing Blossom's ass, and Blossom is mean to him, and he brings up the fact that they made $780,000 today. And Blossom is mad about that as well.
Yeah.
Six gets Johnny Depp on the phone and hands it to Blossom, and Blossom makes Six massage her toes as Blossom breaks up with Johnny Depp over the phone. And I know we're supposed to be like, what a mean woman for breaking up with Johnny Depp over the phone, but my God, fast forward 30 years, and if I'm Johnny Depp, this is the best breakup scenario possible, right?
Yeah.
Like, Blossom didn't piss in his bed and beat him up, so... You know, take it over the phone, buddy. It's a victory for Johnny Depp any day of the week.
Yeah, then there's just like quick cuts kind of all over the place here. And Nick's on an old Motorola flip phone talking about t-shirt sales. And then there's like a Blossom talking head, like documentary style interview, which was great. I love this. I thought it was so good. Because at first it was like, there was just like a voiceover, and I thought it was like how Blossom kind of narrates sometimes on the show, but then it cuts to her in an actual like talking to the camera interview.
Blossom says she could give up all her fame and backpack across the world with just a backpack, a bicycle, and a platinum card. And I was like, they're making fun of rich people, and I'm digging this. Like, this is, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what they're trying to accomplish here.
Well, she's kind of just like the pompous like prima donna, because then there's like a hard cut to her sitting in the chair drinking tea, and she's talking about world peace, and then instantly goes into snapping on Tony, who is the documentarian apparently, about the lighting.
Well, she starts yelling at the lighting guy, and it's Anthony, and he comes in and he's overacting, and it's not cute. And then suddenly we're looking at the late Dick Clark, and he's like, where would I be without Blossom?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, I wouldn't be on the set with an off-camera gun pointed at me.
You ever want to do New Year's again, mother? You're going to do an episode of Blossom. We own you, Dick Clark.
I missed whatever point he was trying to say because everything is cutting so quickly.
Oh, yeah. He claims he'd probably be a mail boy somewhere. The woman made me. And then I love this part.
Yes.
They recycle footage of her dreamy flashback where she's on the Phil Donahue show.
Yeah.
And poor Donahue signed off on that like a year ago
Right.
and had no idea they were going to revisit it and make him look like an ass.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that. That's money.
They own that forever. I feel like if we weren't doing this podcast, we wouldn't have noticed that it was the same footage, but here we are.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right?
Blossom asks Six if she would describe her movements as cat-like. And Six doesn't really know what to say, so she says, yeah. And then Blossom stares her down and says, well, do it. And I'm like, this is actually uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel good watching this exchange. So hats off for those two for, like, pulling that off.
Yeah.
That's probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been in a Blossom episode.
Wow.
Yeah, it was well done. Just the air sucked out of the room where she's like, we'll do it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. Six scrambles and says, you're cat-like. And then Nick gets off the phone and goes to Blossom and butters her up. And she says, I could tell you have some yucky news. And I stole that. I've been using the term yucky news ever since I watched this episode. And it turns out someone let her idiot brother into the hotel. And then you got to Joey, like, shadow boxing down the hallway. Like, he's dressed like Marky Mark, and Blossom calls him her Tito.
Hard cut to Joey walking down the hallway as the doctor of thugonomics, John Cena. I was like, this is amazing.
See, I needed to do this, man. This show is winning me over.
Oh my God, it was so good.
This is good stuff. I didn't absorb any of this. I just took notes for like 3 hours. I laughed out loud when I saw that. I was like, this is the perfect placement for Joey.
Yeah, and then Blossom in her interview is talking about how he kind of rides her coattails, and she calls him her Tito.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And I was like, this is amazing stuff. And then it cuts to Joey in the hotel room, and he's rapping in front of Six, Nick, and Blossom sitting on the couch looking unimpressed, talking about taking a fat girl every time, boy. He's
rapping about loving fat chicks, and he's dancing. I wrote, I love this. He asks what they think.
Yeah.
And Nick and Six slowly look at Blossom, who mutters, it's cool.
Yeah, she's like reading a magazine, not even paying attention.
Joey just like gets drunk off their approval, and he's like, yeah, it seems nobody does stuff for fat chicks, and since there's a lot of them, I figure there's this big, fat, untapped market.
Oh, man, it's so good.
And I fell off the bed.
Yeah, I love
sure, that's kind of funny in a Joey is an appropriate idiot kind of way, but like, he kind of predicted the woke future.
He asks Blossom what he thinks about getting the chances of him getting on her record label, and then she says, yeah, that's fine, and she makes it happen. So there should be a spin-off episode of this, of Joey's whole rap career.
Oh, man, I would love that.
How good would that be?
Just half an hour of Joey Lawrence in a sound booth, just like freestyling.
Yeah.
So we're back to Richard Clark. He claims he's worked with a young Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and Blossom back when she was supposed to open for the Rolling Stones, but Mick Jagger said nobody could follow that act. All right.
He called her Little Bitty Blossom, which I thought was weird.
Oh, is that? I don't know.
There was like another part here that I just said there's too much to follow, but there was a bunch of cuts where they were like interviewing fans outside of the arena. I thought that stuff was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, this episode seems like an absolute out-of-control party of just, like, everybody running around with cameras, getting while they can, figuring it out later.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Blossom is getting ready in the mirror, and then Six comes running up saying, Derek Slade, the biggest movie star in history, is here. And she didn't know that Blossom was dating him.
I Googled Derek Slade, the name. You want to know what came up? Jailed sex abuse headmaster.
Okay.
Derek Slade dies. Derek Slade was jailed in 2010 for a string of offenses against 12 boys between the ages of 8 and 13, and he died in prison.
All right, well, good.
Oxford-educated Slade, who had no teaching qualifications, committed the attacks at private schools in Norfolk and Suffolk between 78 and 83.
Wow.
And guess who plays him? Neil Patrick Harris. He tells her to fire her dad, and she does.
Yeah, he was pretty good in this scene.
So good in this scene.
He was hilarious. There's even one part where he looks into the camera, too.
Yeah, she says, adios, aloha, which I'm not sure if that was supposed to be funny, but it was. I love Neil Patrick Harris. They go in to kiss, and she asks if he wants her to turn off the camera, and he smiles into it and says, no, of course not. And goddamn, this man has money.
Right.
Like, just kills the scene. Just undeniable charisma, even at this early age.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a treasure.
So then Nick comes sneaking back up, and he goes, well, I'm still your father, right? And Blossom's like, I'll get back to you.
Back from commercial break, Blossom and Six are singing Do-a Diddy, and Six messes up and they laugh. So Blossom isn't a bitch anymore? Or is this just one of those, like, in-between take scenes they use, like I talked about? Then the next shot, they're saying a prayer. This is a really good delivery for Mayim, because she's kind of rolling a gumball around in her mouth as she delivers, like, a super self-serving prayer.
See, like, I like the little touches like that.
For sure.
She's totally a maniac, but she feels like she's in touch. I thought she just played it really well.
It's fair.
I like when they get Mayim to do these kind of like dream sequence things where it's not
her being Blossom. We get the busty girl swimming, and she gets out of the pool, and
Yes.
Buzz makes a perverted chuckle and hands her a towel.
Okay, but I had no idea what was happening in this scene at this point. I was like, what is going on here? Because it was just this girl swimming in the pool, and then she comes out, and then the camera slowly pans over, and I was like, it's Buzz. Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
From noon to 6. Just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, that's the last thing you want to see.
Talk
after
about
that.
a Buzz kill, man. Like,
oh, you were saving that one.
I wish I had a slide whistle. Just woo.
Right. So he loves Blossom.
Yes.
She bought him this house, the Rolls Royce, and an autograph from Jamie Gertz. Oh, maybe that was the joke, because we interviewed Jamie Gertz later.
Is that who that was?
Yes.
Okay. She looked familiar.
I looked her up because I figured she would have been like a porn actress if it was like Buzz's hero.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, she's actually a former actress who is now a billionaire NBA team owner. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Good for her, man.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you which team, but she's a billionaire NBA team owner.
Wow. It cuts to an interview with regular-looking Joey, and he talks about how they have a give-and-take relationship.
She gives me money, and I take it.
They've done better with Joey, but I'll take it.
I don't know, I kind of like
I'll
that.
take it. So then it cuts to like a depressed Nick saying she's not going to make it without her, and he's like, oh, well, who's she going to get to represent her now? Cut to Don King.
With a picture of Mike Tyson behind him.
Yeah.
Do you know who ended the Don King-Mike Tyson relationship?
No.
Vince McMahon, my friend.
Really? During the build-up to WrestleMania 14?
During the build-up to WrestleMania 14.
No way.
When, I'm not joking, when Tyson was around all these wrestlers and hearing about them and their agents, he realized how crappy of a deal he was getting with Don King.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that huge?
That is crazy, man. I'm not surprised.
So now he's talking like Blossom's going to be a star. Like, she isn't already.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little confused, but whatever. It's Don King. I'll listen to him. And then suddenly Anthony is telling Blossom that she can't mention God tonight in the performance because they're in Colorado and no one here believes in God and she's going to get arrested.
Is that a real law in Colorado?
Did you look it up?
No, I meant to and I forgot.
I didn't know what to make of this. So she's telling a cop that she answers to a higher power than God, which I thought was kind of funny. Then she spikes the camera and says, I'm with Don King. So they're really like stroking Don King's ego in this.
So did you look up the Colorado law thing?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we don't have the information for you.
Colorado hates God. I don't know what else there is.
Yeah. Well, with all the school shootings there, I think God hates Colorado.
No. Well, jocks anyway, but you know.
Yeah.
Oof. That was really good. I'm laughing a lot harder on the inside than on the outside, just out of self-preservation. Because one of these days, someone's going to listen to these, Sal.
Do I have to cut that?
No, that's a good joke. Now there's this guy I should know, but I don't, and he's in a sparkly Chris Jericho 2013 jacket. He's telling a story about he, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, and Blossom, and how Blossom threw the TV out the window.
Turns out Blossom did mention God at the concert, and she's worried about whether or not she's going to be arrested.
But then she won't be because she saw the Pope in the second row. Then suddenly they're adjusting Blossom like a chiropractor, and they use a cork popping sound effect.
Yeah. Well, then it cuts and they're pouring champagne in the next scene.
Oh, I missed that.
Because I thought the same thing, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
That's good stuff. See, I missed that because I was writing that down. I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Someone has a Blossom World Tour jacket, and what happened to that? I would give my left nut for that jacket right now. To walk around in a Blossom World Tour jacket. Now the network executives talk to Blossom.
Yes, so it's Warren Littlefield, who was actually the top executive at NBC in the 90s.
Right? And she shuts this idiot down.
So, I mean, for him to appear on Blossom, does that not tell you that he must be championing this show?
Oh, absolutely. And to, like, completely demean himself like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it was funny.
He's a little bitch in this scene, and I loved it.
Yeah, so Blossom snaps on her real-life boss.
Yeah. Because he calls her show cute.
Yeah.
And she just totally loses on him. She's like, cute? Yeah, they made this guy a total loser, and I love that.
Yeah, he gets dragged out by security. Interview with someone, I don't know who it was, and she's telling a story about Blossom in her acting class, about how she did the final scene from Thelma and Louise, and she did both parts, and she ended it off by driving her Corvette in through the window.
Which is really funny. I wrote, okay, number 1, spoiler, and number 2, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And here, Sal... See, this was where I was like, what are you guys doing? We get Tori Spelling on Blossom. And this is what they do with Tori Spelling. This is where I was like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, she's reading off cue cards. She's looking at this dialogue for the first time ever. Her eyes are tracking constantly. She's reading cue cards about how Blossom caused havoc on the set of Beverly Hills 90210 because she was dating Luke Perry and Jason Priestley at the same time.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, if you turn the clock back like maybe 4 years, she probably had a chance to do that in real life.
You think so?
Jason Priestley and Luke Perry were probably like, hey ma'am, what's going on these days? Can I borrow $5?
Next scene is Nick and Blossom at a table, and Nick says he's not going to beg Blossom. And then there's just a hard cut to him crying and begging Blossom to get his job back.
And here comes Bud from Married with Children.
Yeah, David Faustino, and apparently him and Blossom used to be married.
Yeah. Which is funny, because, like, I don't know, was this kid really a celebrity? Like, wouldn't it have made more sense to have Neil Patrick Harris playing himself as Blossom's ex-husband?
Yeah.
And then Anthony yells at him and chases after him as he walks off. Like, how fun is that? How fun would that have been to be Anthony, the real person?
Yeah.
Exchanging with Bud from Married with Children, right?
Yeah, and then Wolfgang Puck. What is happening here at this point?
Right?
It's like, it's just quick cut after quick cut of, like, random celebrity cameos.
He claims Blossom always orders 2 lobsters, one to eat and one to take with her to do a puppet show for children. So that is equal parts bizarre and equal parts really funny.
Blossom has another talking head about her relationship with Nick and how good it is. And then she said that she has the flu and he's been bringing her videos. And I thought there was kind of going to be like this meta thing where it was like she knows that she's dreaming. Like I thought there was going to be something like that there because she referenced that she had the flu, right? And that was the whole big
Yeah, and he's kind of like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It was a really weird scene, but it's like, yeah, this is the weird meta part of the episode. Sure, why not? Throw it on there. I kind of liked it.
I thought, are we going to start seeing cracks in her fever dream? Like I thought maybe it would cut back to her at home. Like, I don't know. Like I just...
Yeah, but they never went back to it.
Yeah, they never went back to it, but it was kind of weird that they referenced that. So then Tony asks if she's going to hire Nick back because the relationship's so good. And then she gets mad and tells him to turn the camera off.
Yeah, some other lady just goes on about how cool Blossom is.
This was Jamie Gertz.
Okay.
She looked so familiar, and I was like, is that Arlene McCafferty?
Is it?
No, it's not.
I was like, wow, she looks pretty good after the abortion if it is her.
I got really excited for Arlene McCafferty.
Because Nick probably had his way with her again.
Yeah, totally.
She claims Blossom had a hit song called Tastes Like Chicken. And they really snuck that one in, Sal. And then out of nowhere, her mom calls.
Yes.
Like the deadbeat mom calls and wants tickets.
This is the part where she's eating cereal on the ceiling.
Because of course.
Blossom's mom is asking for 7 tickets to the show, and Blossom's like, yeah, like my name's on the building. You can have 7 tickets or 700, whatever you want. She's like, all right, so that's 7 tickets, and then Blossom charges her. It's like, oh no, you can just pay it to me directly.
Suck it, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. You get what you deserve. So then there's a scene where Blossom and Six are sitting on a bed, and Blossom's rifling off all these people, and Six is just saying, oh, you're prettier than her. You're prettier than her.
Suddenly Anthony pops in and says she has no talent.
He says that she's a genius, but her only discernible flaws are total lack of talent.
I wonder how he felt delivering that line.
Yeah, right?
Next is that guitar guy.
Yes.
His name is Reggie. He gives her a guitar that plays by itself.
Yeah, it's the latest Japanese technology, which is basically lip syncing with a guitar.
She plays it, and she's not really playing it. Then she goes, could you tell I was faking? And he goes, you're good at faking.
And then she looks directly into the camera and goes, yeah, I am.
Yeah, she's, I am good at faking. I'm like...
A Blossom orgasm joke? What the hell is going on here?
I wrote, take that whatever dude Mayim just broke up with in real life.
Yeah.
She's coming for you, right?
Yeah. Totally. David Faustino.
Yeah. Okay. Some other guy says Blossom saved his career after she ran him over and he sued her.
The settlement that he got for the lawsuit from her running him over with the limo got him back on his feet.
Like, who is this guy?
I wrote another recognizable actor here because I've seen him in things.
Yeah. It's... So now she fires Don King and she rehires Nick, but Nick has to wear the Don King wig and talk like him.
Is this blackface? I don't know.
I laughed really loudly about that. They get out of the limo, they get mugged by the crowd, and then she wakes up in her room and we have color and a live studio audience once again. Her fever broke.
Yes.
She says in her dream she was a totally awful person, and she tells her dad, you were there, and then the audience chuckles. And I was like, why is that funny?
Yeah, I don't know. But she does that thing from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you were there, and Tony, and Joey, and Toto too. And then Nick goes, the dog? And she goes, no, the band. That made me laugh out loud.
That's who the one guy must have been, right? From the band Toto.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And that's good. That's clever.
Hold the line. Love isn't always on time.
So Nick says it was only a dream, and then he falls asleep, and he dreams he's Fat Elvis eating a drumstick in a limo.
Yeah, and Blossom's doing his nails, and we get credits rolling over this.
Yes. All right. Oh, my God. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Executive script consultant.
Okay.
Miss Brenda Hampton.
No more
She
Kane.
is responsible for this mess. So this was either her magnus opus or her being awake from coke for 4 days.
Yeah,
It's one or the other.
Or both.
Maybe both.
Hey, man. I'm sure a lot of what is it? Magnus opus?
I think so. Am I using that right?
Magnum opus? I think her opus.
That's a condom, sir.
I think there's... I think a lot of opuses came from coke binges, for sure.
Glenn Merzer was the co-producer.
Okay.
J.J. Wall was the story editor.
This is
as
all you,
well
because I don't
as
track this.
Portia Iverson, who did a bunch of 80s shows like Tracy Ullman, was also a story editor. So I wonder if Portia Iverson had her fingers in like the original Simpsons.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Mr. Blackwell was a American fashion critic, creator of, quote, this is what made him famous, something called the 10 Worst Dressed Women Award. So makes sense to include him in a feminist female empowerment sitcom.
Sorry, are you on to actors now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
His claim to fame was making a humiliating 10 Worst Dressed Women Award, so it makes sense to include him in this feminist female empowerment sitcom.
Totally.
Anyway, he's dead. He died 86 years old. Jer Burns was a generic actor.
Jerry Burns. He's the actor that got run over with the limo.
He's famous from Max Headroom, and he actually had a reoccurring role in Breaking Bad. We have David Cassidy, who starred in The Partridge Family, which ended in the 70s.
Yes.
This is 1991, and they're trying to prop this guy up like he's a celebrity. David Cassidy, quote, drank to cover up his sadness, end quote.
No kidding.
He once had a concert where women rushed the stage, 30 were injured, and a 14-year-old girl died. And David Cassidy cut his biological daughter out of his will because he didn't raise her. But he left his biological son $1.68 million when he died.
What an ass.
Right?
Yeah.
Dick Clark's Dick Clark. He likes balls dropping. That's all I know about that guy.
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss, like famous for everything, right?
Richard
Jaws.
Dreyfuss.
Or what's his name? No, I just wrote Dreyfuss.
That's all that was in the credits was Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss was not in this episode, but there was somebody
No, that's not the
credited
same
as,
dude?
as just Dreyfuss.
Oh, I didn't even remember. I thought it must have
Speaking
been him.
of opuses,
Yes, he was in Mr. Holland's Opus. I just typed in Dreyfuss and that's what came up. I assumed that was him.
no,
but
it was somebody was
Wasn't Richard
credited as
Dreyfuss?
just Dreyfuss, but Richard Dreyfuss was not in this episode.
Ah, that's too bad, because in 2017, Jessica Teach accused him of sexual harassment, but in his version, he was just overly flirtatious. David Faustino.
Bud Bundy.
What do you know about him?
I know that he's Bud Bundy and he was on Entourage. That's it.
He co-founded the first ever hip-hop club on the Sunset Strip. Do you know what he called it?
What?
Ballistics.
Okay.
Do you know why he called it Ballistics?
No.
Because that, Sal, is the name of his rap album.
Oh my God.
You betcha.
I gotta listen to this, man.
Here it comes.
Here I come, here I come, here I come. Straight down to business, now you know I just begun. I come with beats, I come with knowledge, not the gun. And when it comes to trouble...
That's Bud Bundy rapping, my friend.
Amazing.
You gotta see this video, man. It's black and white, and he's like in a bus.
Ballistics, David Faustino.
Ballistics. I told ya.
Get that on Spotify,
Oh, he
everyone.
did tell us. Yeah, he told me all right while he took my order at Subway. Don King, as I mentioned, Mike Tyson split up with him thanks to Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation.
Amazing. I did
Warren
not know.
Littlefield
Yes.
was the NBC exec that oversaw like all the shows that Blossom put in his place.
Yep.
Dinah Manoff, nothing about her. But in 1999, she directed the 82nd episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Congratulations, Dinah.
Wolfgang Puck is Wolfgang Puck.
Yep.
Martha Quinn was an original MTV VJ.
Really?
Do you know what else Martha Quinn did?
Was she the one that was on the Brady Bunch reboot?
Maybe, but she also did backstage interviews at the 1986 Slammy Awards.
Yeah, no way.
Tori Spelling was part of the biggest show in the world at the time.
Yes.
And that was how they used Tori Spelling. That was the part that I thought they really dropped the ball with.
They probably begged and begged and begged her, like, you got to do Blossom. You got to do Blossom. And she's like, all right, you guys have a half hour.
But why were all these people in the building? Like, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Did they just cast a wide net and these are the 20 people that agreed to be on the show? So they're like, okay, crap. Quick, get a camera out to Tori Spelling.
I was going to say they
feel
sent
like
out
they
an
were all-
email, but they wouldn't have done that at the time. They probably sent out a letter to literally everybody who lived in Hollywood. And these were the 10 people that were like, yeah, we'll do it.
Or was there some sort of reason that all these people were in one building at one time and they scrambled and this is what they came up with? Because what a waste of Tori Spelling.
Yeah, I agree.
She had like the worst interview of the whole thing, and it was more in 1991. Tori Spelling is more of a star than every single other person on this episode. put together.
What are you gonna do? I don't know. They should maybe release it.
Well, that's what I mean. Why would they do this? Like, if they could get Tori Spelling, why wouldn't they have done like she had more time on this episode than I think the Fresh Prince did when they wrote an entire episode around Will Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think if you actually measure the time she was on screen compared to Will Smith, she was probably on this episode more than he was. And they devoted an entire episode about the appearance of Will Smith, who I would say probably wasn't as big of a star as Tori Spelling in 1991. That might be a hot take, but 90210 was rampant.
No, you're probably right.
J.J. Wall was the cop, and he was an actor that did nothing.
J.J. Wall?
Yeah.
Isn't he a writer on the show?
Oh, yeah, that came up before. Yeah, well, he was a cop.
Okay.
Rylan Allison was Reggie, the musical producer. But then it also says Rylan Allison played Billy in Blossom from 1991 to 1992. Can you make heads or tails of that?
No, but with the way that they reuse people, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, whoever that is.
Jodie Peterson, the girl, from what I could tell, played Dustin Diamond's girlfriend in Saved by the Bell, like Screech.
Oh, yeah? Like the nerdy-looking one?
Yeah, I think that was her from the pictures I could see. Megan McGinnis played Belle in Disney's Beauty and the Beast from 2003 to 2004 until she was replaced by the hot girl from Even Stevens.
Oh, Christy Carlson Romano?
Yeah.
That's right. Is this like a cartoon or something?
I don't know, or maybe like the live show? I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Well, I can get behind some CCR, man, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'd like to come up around her bend. Ding, 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 ding.
That's the one.
Oh, God, that worked out too well. All right. So all this is going over top of the scene with Nick in the limo.
Yeah.
And here is where the actor just has free range and he f***ing blows it. He's just making stuff up about Turkey, and you can tell he's trying to make Mayim laugh, but nothing he's saying is clever. And she's kind of like humoring him, where she's like smiling, but it's not good.
This whole dream sequence that they had, they didn't necessarily stick the landing, but overall, I felt like this was an incredible episode.
I would agree. Yeah.
Wow, you turned around.
Reviewing my notes and actually talking about it, this punched really high above its weight.
Easily.
And then we get a weird ending. We get like a dog face barking as a human says, "Rough, rough."
What? I didn't see that part.
Yeah, you didn't stay on long enough.
Is that like sit, ubu, sit?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we've talked about this before, but do you remember there was like a production company bumper like that was at the end of Growing Pains, where it was like a dude.
Sit, ubu, sit.
No,
Good
it was
dog.
like a dude falling off the roof.
Oh yeah, no, that was from Just the 10 of Us.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was Growing Pains. I thought it was Alan Thicke falling off a roof.
No, because I remember like being super young and fighting with my sister about that. Because I remember seeing one episode, I'm sure, unless I'm completely remembering this wrong, but there was a show called Just the 10 of Us.
Yeah, I remember the show.
And it only had like a few episodes, I think, before it got canned. But they must have spent like a lot of money on that scene. Because I remember seeing that scene in like commercials leading up to the show. And then I remember seeing the episode where the dude fell off the roof. And then they started using it, as like the credit.
Yeah, it was like the production company logo, wasn't it?
Yeah, was that from Growing Pains? I might be completely remembering wrong.
I remember
Maybe
it from Growing Pains. Like at the end of the Growing Pains credit, it'd be like a dude falling off the roof.
Yeah, no, for sure. But was that
It's entirely
was that
possible I could be remembering that completely wrong.
No, you're remembering that right. But I was saying, was that scene of the guy falling off the roof from an episode of Growing Pains, or was it from an episode of Just the 10 of Us?
Couldn't tell you.
I may be completely remembering it wrong, but I'm sure that was from a scene in Just the 10 of Us. God, I was so young, but I wore that as like a badge of pride that I knew that my sister didn't.
Yeah, that's the end of my notes. I just wrote, hats off to Don Rio and Judith D. Allison.
Yeah, I got no complaints. Again, I didn't absorb the episode because I was just taking relentless notes for honestly over 2 hours for this episode. But going back and reviewing it, yeah, absolutely. This was a triumph.
Amazing.
This episode, especially when you mentioned that like all these shows always have that one just completely out of the box episode. And now that you said that, like my mind has been going, and like I remember Fraggle Rock doing an episode like this. I must have missed it, but one of the producers or something for this episode worked on Spinal Tap. There was a direct connection.
Yeah, man, I loved it. Out of all the episodes that we've seen so far, this is easily top 3.
Wow, I agree. I don't know if I put it in my top 3 just because It's like a cheat episode. It's like the Simpsons Halloween specials. How do you rate those against the regular show?
You just do it.
No, good on you, man. I'm not disagreeing with you. I thought it was a fantastic episode, but it's just so different. Next episode, Sal.
Next episode, season 2, episode 10, Expectations.
This episode just like defeated me.
Here I come, here I come, here I come. Straight down to business, now you know I just begun. I come with peace, I come with knowledge, not the gun. And when it comes to trouble with my mind, I overcome the chaos and confusion, cause you know I'm not the one. And when it comes to
my
respect, yeah, give me
God.
I told you.